All right. Bernie Sanders has spoken out, and he is trying to get his supporters to back Joe Biden, and some of them are not too happy about it. Okay, welcome to America. Welcome to the progressive movement. Some people are unhappy about everything. So, what do they write about? What does he write about? I'm going to break that down for you guys. And as you can tell, hey, look at this. I'm outside. Okay. It was just went way too long staying inside. So there's no one around me. Don't worry, I'm social distancing. I don't know if you can see from my shirt. If I go back far enough, well, you could, but then you can't read it, which is the whole point of the shirt because it says, if you can read this, you're not practicing social distancing. ShopTYT.com. All right. Anyways, on to important stuff. So, first, they asked him about Brianna Joy Gray, former national press secretary for Bernie Sanders. And he said, well, she's, quote, she's my former press secretary, not on the payroll. He then later clarified, hey, look, no one's on the payroll anymore. The campaign's over. They're going to get severance in May. But I didn't, I think what basically he's trying to say, it's not like I fired her or anything like that. Everybody's off the payroll. But yeah, it's throwing her under the bus a little bit. But that's because he doesn't agree with her. So she said on Twitter that she's not ready to back Biden and that he's got to do a lot more. In a sense, I agree with both of them. I'll explain that in a second. But Bernie. So some folks are upset that Bernie does not back some of his supporters more, like Zephyr Teachout when she did that column against Joe Biden and his corruption. I agree with that. Sometimes people throw me in there and go, oh, hey, you threw Cenk under the bus. I would not put me in there. That was a completely different situation, and it was not his fault. So I don't hold him accountable for that at all. There was other folks. Maybe one day we'll get into who actually was responsible for that. But anyway, so here I think I would have sounded a little bit more supportive of Brianna Joy Gray, but that's it's a small thing that I'm picking up a bone over. It's more important stuff is coming up. So he said, do we be as active as we can be in electing Joe Biden and doing everything we can to move Joe and his campaign in a more progressive direction? Or do we choose to sit it out and allow the most dangerous president in modern American history to get reelected? And so here, I largely agree with him. So if somebody says to you, you need to get excited about Joe Biden and you need to cover up some of the things he did wrong in his career, and these are all your responsibilities, I would not agree, right? But if you said, get involved in a way that pushes Joe Biden into a more progressive direction, where progressive policies have a better chance of passing, and then vote for him, I'd say, yeah, that makes sense. Now, the problem with the mainstream media and the establishment is that they think that there's only, like, that's a one-way street. They think, well, no, your job is now to bow your head, pretend to be excited, or just create non-existent excitement in your audience or for Bernie Sanders, his supporters, etc. And it's your responsibility, and we don't do anything for it, and we're not going to go in your direction at all, right? Well, that's not how it works. On the other hand, if there are still some absolutists, which I think that they're, not I think, I know that there are, for those much smaller group of folks, there's nothing that Biden could do that would get them to vote for Biden. But that's a really small group. The much larger group, the one that everyone should be focused on, is people who are not sure they're going to vote for Biden because he doesn't offer anything for them as a progressive. He could fix that. And Bernie trying to help him fix that, so we get a win-win. We get more progressive policies, and we get to vote against Donald Trump, which we all want to do. That's the right path, if you ask me. Okay, and of course it'll piss off people. Welcome to America. Everything pisses off people. What is the correct path? What is the best path? That's what we're trying to determine. Even though we know that that people on both sides will be mad at us either way. So then he said, I believe that it's irresponsible for anybody to say, well, I disagree with Joe Biden, and therefore I'm not going to be involved. Well, I agree and disagree on this one. So I agree that you shouldn't say I'm not going to be involved. You should try to push in the best direction. That's why primaries matter so much, because You want to push the party in the right direction. You want to support the candidate that's going to get those policies approved. But even after the primary, if there's a chance to influence the Democratic ticket in the right direction, of course we should take that chance. It'd be insane not to take that chance and to make that effort. On the other hand, if he's saying here, you need to go volunteer or donate to Joe Biden, no, I don't agree. So I'm sure the establishment will be super pissed about that too. But no, look, if you say I'm going to take corporate donations and I'm going to use super PACs, etc., okay, I'm going to vote for the credible candidate against Donald Trump. But first of all, you don't have a right to anything. You don't have a right to anybody's vote. You have to earn that vote. But it's really, really easy because in a sense, I think, because you have you have the lowest bar in American history. You have to be slightly better than Donald Trump. If you get clear of that bar, wow, right? But if you want people's money or you want their time, well, that's a completely different bar, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. So like, oh yeah, I take money from giant, massive corporations and banks that finance my campaign, those guys that I promised that nothing will fundamentally change to, and I demand your $5 and your $20, and I need you to bust your ass on the weekends knocking doors for me, and I'm not going to go in your direction. No, it doesn't work that way. I wouldn't counsel you on that. I wouldn't suggest it. And folks in the establishment can cry all day long if they want about that. Not going to do it. Okay. So on the other hand, if the campaign actually makes a real movement, not around the edges, hey, we lowered Medicare maybe to people to the age of 60 who are always Biden supporters anyway, that's not real change. But if they make a real effort, then I think that I would counsel you to make an effort back. The funny thing is, what I'm saying right now, I can't imagine that any rational human being would disagree. Hey, if they do something really positive in terms of policy, we should do something positive to support them. But there's people on both sides that definitively say, no, don't do that. Don't support them under any circumstance, or support them under all circumstances that they don't have to do anything for you. That crowd is much, much larger, by the way. Anyway, then Bernie said, I think you're going to see significant movement on the part of the Biden campaign into a more progressive direction on a whole lot of issues. First of all, I really hope so. And second of all, I think that Bernie and his team are genuinely working on that behind the scenes. And that's great. That's what you want them doing. You don't want them giving up. You don't want them going home. You don't want them pouting. You want them working their ass off right now to push the Biden team in a better direction, because it's the right thing to do. It's the morally correct thing to do, but it's also the politically correct thing to do. So it'll get Biden more votes. It'll help to defeat Trump, and it'll get us better progressive policies. So I love to hear that they're working on that behind the scenes, and Godspeed to them on that. And then finally, Bernie says, I will do everything I can to help elect Joe. We had a contentious campaign. We disagree on issues, but my job now is to not only rally my supporters, but to do everything I can to bring the party together to see that Trump is not elected president. So there's a misconception here. I don't know to what degree Bernie shares the misconception, but people think, and I'll tell you why they think this, if we want Bernie Sanders supporters, we get Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders tells them, you go vote for Joe Biden, and they go vote for Joe Biden. Nah, it's the old school way of thinking about it. It doesn't really work that way anymore. So if Bernie Sanders tells his supporters to do something that they don't agree with, they're not going to do it. Okay, they're just not. Some of them might, but a lot of them won't. And the reason that the establishment thinks that way is because they're used to top down. They're from the TV culture. And so I say this is a broad general thing. And you saw it in the voting. People above the age of 45, people under the age of 45 are completely different. They grew up in a different culture. It's the biggest divide we've ever had in American, not just politics, but in American society. Because people above the age of 45 grew up on television. That's a top-down way of looking at things. So when the guy from the mountaintop tells you to do so, Wolf Blitzer said it, it must be true, right? Oh my God, Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper and Joe Scarborough said it's definitely true, right? And that's why they voted 70% for Joe Biden in the Democratic primaries, people above the age of 45. It's so stark. Under the age of 45, they voted 70% for Bernie Sanders because they grew up on the internet culture. And the internet culture is, yeah, that's like your opinion, man, but I'm going to go ahead and look it up. Okay. And obviously, the online shows like ours are vastly different than the shows on cable news. We talk to you guys. We do things together. I say, we're not the Young Turks. You're the Young Turks. You literally keep us in business. CNN can't ask for donations. They're a giant multi-billion-dollar corporation. We struggle together. We live together. We survive together. And so that's why we ask you to do things like tyt.com/go. But that also, which is to raise money to keep us alive and sustainable right now. But that also makes us accountable to you, and that's way better. It makes us cooperative with you, and and we're human. We tell you things and you see we're human. And for older people, they really believe that the folks on TV are magical. And if they say something, of course it's true. Of course I'm supposed to believe that. Whereas you guys know that if I say something you don't agree with, you just look it up. You see if it's true or untrue. Or you know what? You say to me, hey, that's like your opinion, man. I know, because you say it to me literally thousands of times a day, maybe millions of times. So that's normal. And so when Sanders says, if he says, and I don't think he's yelling at people here, I think it's unfair to say that. And some people are characterizing it that way, not yelling, but like, calling his supporters irresponsible. No, he's saying it would be irresponsible if you weren't fighting for more change through the Biden campaign. And obviously, as you can tell, I disagree with Sanders on parts of this because I just told you that. And I've disagreed with him on other things as well. And we've explained that. And that's not sacrilege. And then there's also folks who are saying to us, yelling at us 24/7 on social media and other places, you have to be more supportive of Joe Biden. It's your job to get, your audience excited about Joe Biden. We've been through this a lot. Obviously, that is not our job. That's Joe Biden's job. Literally, that he's the one running the campaign. Second of all, it's interesting that they all other times are dismissive of online media and Young Turks in particular. Like, oh, please, Young Turks, whatever, right? Who cares? Whatever. No way. And then when a general election comes around, all of a sudden they're like, Young Turks, you're going to decide the election. If we lose the election, it's definitely the Young Turks' fault. You didn't excite your audience enough. Jake, it's your fault. Anna, it's your fault, etc. Right? Wait, what happened? Are we irrelevant, or are we the most powerful force in American politics? I'm not the one saying either, but a lot of folks in the establishment are. But that's not how it works. If you're in the audience, you know that. But I guess I'm talking to like the three establishment people watching this. If I tell you something that's absurd, it's not like you go, oh, Jake said it, so it must be true. No, I lose credibility. And that's how it should be. People should be held accountable. And so if anything online, I think people are held too accountable. But that overall is a wonderful thing. So that's why this whole idea that the Biden team and the CNNs and the DNCs of the world have is a wrong idea. It's a misconception that if Sanders or I or Brianna Joy Gray or Nina Turner yell at you guys enough, that somehow that'll get you to vote for Biden or to be excited about Biden or to help Biden in other ways. It's just the wrong culture. They just don't understand. The reality is the only way that works is if they come in and say, here are some wonderful proposals that we're going to work together on, and it's easy to talk. We're going to prioritize. Put Biden's reputation on the line. If we don't get this passed, then Biden was a failure as a president. Ooh, for establishment politicians, that's the biggest thing in the world. Policy, what bills get passed. My legacy, my reputation. That's like the most important thing in the world to them. Okay, good. Then put your reputation on the line. And if you do that, then maybe you'll earn that credibility. You'll earn that support. You'll earn that excitement. And of course, most importantly, earn more votes so that you could win Trump. To me, and I bet to a lot of you out there, it's super obvious. But I swear to you, like to the establishment, they are befuddled by that concept. Accountability? results, substance, policy. Yeah, but what do you personally want? No, we don't want anything personally. It is personal. We all need health care. We all need better wages, etc. But we're trying to do something that actually matters in people's lives and change people's lives for the positive. I know that it's hard for them to conceptualize that because they don't really think that way. They think, how do we buy this guy off? What do we give them? What cabinet position do you want? What favor do you want? We don't want any of that. We just want the policies. Now, Medicare for All, probably a bridge too far for a guy who said he'd veto it if it came to his desk, which is, okay, but there are things we could agree on, and that would make a monumental difference. That's on the Biden team to figure it out. If Sanders is helping them figure it out and his team is helping them to figure it out, that's great. Please be open-minded about that, and let's see what they come up with. And at the same time, if you're part of the establishment and you think you're going to browbeat us into supporting you, it ain't going to work. The election and everything else is on the line based on what you do, not based on what we say. That's the old model. The new model is show me. So, and that's how it should be. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the Young Turks. tyt.com/go to help support us right now. Matching grants doubles your contribution. We deeply appreciate it. And that is exactly what makes us accountable to you.